Good evening, welcome to tonight's Select Board meeting for June 16th of 2026. If we can, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are starting slightly later. We did have an executive session we had to attend to, so that's why there is a slight delay in the start of our meeting. We have announcements and opening remarks from the chair. Does any of the board have any opening remarks, comments?
I do, Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Hawk.
Last Thursday, I was able to take a tour of both the fire department and police department, and I know Chief, you had to go to some services that day, but one of your officers took me for a tour, and first the firehouse with Chief Martinez, and then the police station, and definitely an eye-opening about the logistics work with everything, and definitely an eye-opener. So if any of the board members haven't been down recently, or definitely go down there and get not only a tour, but get to see and hear everyone that works there, how things operate and how things maybe could be better. It's definitely at the police station of seeing inside of how cramped it is, but everyone's still able to do the job. It's definitely an eye-opening, and Chief, you have a great staff, and the fire chief does too, so kudos to both of you running a pristine department. So
Thank you.
that's all I gotta say.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right. We will move into comments and concerns of citizens. Just please remember, if you are talking and under the comments, you have 3 minutes to talk. I have a timer here, so if you need to, I will raise my hand when we're about 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, and we can go from there. Is there anybody else that wants to have anything to say or discuss? All right, moving on. We will go to the consent agenda. We have under special events 2026-06 250th U.S. Celebration Committee Week of Events is from July 25th to August 1st of 2026. We have the applications with us. 2026-07 Fireworks Committee Summer Fireworks August 1st 2026. It'll be at the Ware School campus from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. with a rain date of August 2nd 2026 from 4 to 10 p.m. And 2026-16 the Domestic Violence Task Force Annual Domestic Violence Walk is going to be happening October 18th of 2026 from 1 to 3 p.m. at Veterans Park with no rain date listed. We have a motion for the special events.
I have a question.
Yes.
If I might, Mr. Chair. On 2026-16, which was the Domestic Violence Task Force, what caught my attention was the note about the use of the Great Hall and concern by Anna, the building commissioner, about some outstanding issues there. She mentioned the curtain, I think, was it an occupancy and an inspection for the Great Hall that needs to be in place?
So an annual inspection, I'm sorry, yeah.
So I'm just curious, what is missing for us to be able to use the Great Hall? And how soon can we get that done so we can use the Great Hall and not have to worry about these restrictions?
Yeah, there is an earlier event at the end of July. Anna had provided a list for that event of cleanup tasks. The curtain's not moving before the end of July. But there's dust, peeling paint, need to clean out the bathroom and behind the stage. So mostly cleanup efforts unless you have others.
There is a railing that needs to, at some point it got removed from a set of stairs that would have to get reattached or installed. And those are just some items that from a quick walkthrough, but to have an annual inspection that would be required. So that's something that we should actively, right now what we do is we do a walkthrough, the fire department and the building department, we do a walkthrough and know any safety concerns just prior to an event, and that is in response to not having the annual inspection or the certificate of inspection on display. But that should be our goal, to get that and to try to put together a list, proactive list to act on for not just maintenance, but also repair work and alterations to move forward.
I think the Great Hall is in a great state right now, thanks to the Friends and other investments. And we've seen it's multi-purpose. We used it as a temporary shelter just a couple of weeks ago, so we were using it on short term. Plus, we've used it for elections. We've used it for winter activities. We're gonna use it for the town 250th celebration activities, and now for this. So I would, through the chair, I would encourage whatever town departments have to get together.
We've already hired a cleaning company, which I think will take care of most of it, but you're right, we have to get together, particularly the fire department, to talk about other things.
And what's the issue with the curtain? I heard the curtain mentioned by Stuart and by Anna.
It's unclear.
So how is that gonna impact the use of it? Because it's down, and my understanding is it's gonna stay that way, because raising it could cause more dust and other stuff to get into the area, so.
No, that's, we encapsulated it.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so it's
we don't-
encapsulated, so that's no longer an issue.
Right, what's an issue is whether raising it will do anything to the encapsulation, whether the curtain has any fire protection value at all still, and therefore do we have to replace it before we raise it? Ultimately, we would like to raise it so that only 4 feet are showing the design, and then like for elections, the town clerk could have reuse of the use again of the stage.
So I guess, Anna, I'm looking at you, is that something that can be looked at and,
We've been looking at it. So it was very difficult to find a rigging company that would take this task on. We found one in New Hampshire. They were asking for this information. What was the encapsulation process, the details of it, the specifics? How often does it have to get, because usually a process like that has to be done every so often, so we don't have that specification, at least I don't have that specification information, but I think it was given to us at some point. So I have to find out where it went to. And then once they have that information, then we also need to know if that curtain can have a change in its use to be just on display. That's a question that seems to, I don't know, fire department is questioning that, but I think we would probably approach it with some code actions, and this brings me back to my we took the initial steps to get fire alarm updated in the building with the electrical upgrade. And of course, the next step is to look at fire protection. For an assembly space, that's
okay.
the outcome that big. So I guess, but if we have that down and we move forward over time, then it would be acceptable.
Well, through the chair to Stuart, I just hope that the town staff can come together and mobilize and get this going in the right direction so that we can use it and be comfortable it's being used with no code restrictions and with no exposures. And if there are tasks that need to be updated, that they get on a list and appear in a budget someplace so that we can fund them and be able to use the Great Hall in the manner it was designed to be used for.
Is there anything in the budget for line items to have fixed if needed?
Yeah.
Okay, so financially, we are set to have things taken care of in a timely fashion?
Yes, as long as you accept that on the end of July, that curtain is likely to still be down.
Okay.
Which doesn't affect the July event in any way.
Okay, so with that curtain being down, what does it affect primarily? Is it,
What is
yeah,
the list?
yeah, like
As
what,
my understanding, it's clean.
okay,
I mean, there are things like a railing.
yeah,
But, we've done the exit lights. Yeah, so.
is it,
Based on the list that was provided to the historic commission.
Yep.
It's my understanding most of it is cleaning and organizing
behind the curtain?
behind the curtain and down the stairs and up the balcony stairs.
Okay,
Which would not be publicly accessible anyway.
okay,
And we've got the fire alarm system coming into the town hall with the new electrical.
Yes.
And how's that process going?
Slow. We will have to poke the engineer because the fire department has completed its review.
Okay.
Okay, so with that being said, are we comfortable with making a motion for these special events that are part of the consent agenda?
I move we approve the special events 2026-06, 2026-07, 2026-16, and 206-20.
Oh, we didn't do 2 yet.
Oh, all right.
So, no, just the consent, just the special events. All right, so seconded by Valerie, all in favor? Aye. All right, and then we have a one-day liquor license, 2026-20. It's wine o'clock, music bingo at 1 Robbins Road, July 27th, 2026, from 5:30 PM to 8:30 PM. We'd look for a motion and then a second.
Move we approve a one-day liquor license 2026-20.
All right,
I'll second.
seconded by Valerie, all in favor? Aye. All right, now we have scheduled appearances, presentation of Mill Health District, Adam, I have a last name that people butcher, I'm just gonna say D. All right, sorry.
Mr. Chair, just to set the stage, to your right, Ben Murphy, who's our funder for this grant project that was received through the One Stop for Growth applications. This is for planning. The intent was to plan the area from the Mill Yard to the Mary Lane property, therefore calling it the Mill Yard Health District. A lot of the zoning had already been done, but this is to make recommendations of how to go forward, how to market, how to do outreach. And Adam is here from BSC Group, who is the consultant who led the process for the past several months, including a couple of outreach programs, one at the senior center and then one a walk through the whole area, or actually 2 walks through the whole area, to lead to the packet that you have in your packet, and then I can put that up on the screen.
Okay. All right. You guys, if you guys want, come right on up. So Adam, how do we say your last name?
Duchesneau.
Duchesneau.
I would have never said it right,
Yeah,
so.
it's not an easy one. Which I
Yes.
Advance it, okay. See? Oh, sure. I see. Okay. I'm gonna minimize this. That's okay. Okay. Great, thanks. Thank you, Stuart, for that introduction to set the table. For the record, Adam Duchesneau, Senior Planner with BSC Group, and as Stuart indicated, I'm here this evening to speak to you about the work our firm, Mass Development, and town staff has been doing over the last several months for what we're calling the Mill Health District. And this is a redevelopment plan, but it goes a little bit beyond that, more about actions and some ideas moving forward. So what I'd like to cover this evening is just to give some thanks to the project team, talk about what our scope of work was, look at the existing conditions a little bit. As Stuart mentioned, talk about the 2 public engagement events that we held, the opportunities for redevelopment in the district, some district recommendations, and then going to show you a few conceptual redevelopment plans and then some next steps. So from your home team here, the town staff was Stuart, as well as your Director of Planning and Community Development, Parr Smith. From Mass Development, who's here this evening, is Ben Murphy, and then also Martin Serrano is also involved with the project. And then from our firm, BSC Group, our Director of Planning, Heather Gould, Oxabutt, Teddy Campbell, Tabitha Wilson, and myself were also involved in some way, shape, or form with this project. So in a nutshell, the scope was to provide a district plan that focuses on identifying redevelopment strategies to activate the former Mary Lane Hospital site and the Ware Mill Yard, including the potential for housing and commercial space. As Stuart mentioned, the technical assistance for the project was provided by the Mass Development Real Estate Services Program, and the grant money and the work needs to be all wrapped up by the end of this month, June 30th. So how did we achieve this scope of work? We had several project teams meeting about once every 6 weeks or so to kind of go over different items, coordinate the different events that we had. We did existing conditions analysis, looked at the zoning of the area, commercial properties, parcel layout, did some site walks, which sort of rolls into the next bullet point, conducting a couple of site visits, field work, taking photographs, just getting familiar with the area. And we had 2 community engagement events, which I'll get into later, and then a final report, which we're drafting currently and will be provided to the town at the end of the month. So this map is intended to lay out the boundaries or give you an idea more, I guess a more specific idea of the boundaries of the district. And you can see sort of in the northeast part there, we started and used the Ware Millyard Historic District sort of to define that area up by Canal Street, East Main Street, through the Ware Millyard. The district actually extends over the Ware River and a little bit to the west, so the American Athletic Shoe Company property there, and also the Quabbin Wire and Cable Company. That's the Millyard Historic District area. And then we also included Memorial Field, and then South Street, south of the Ware River, sort of performs like or acts as a spine, moving southward, and a lot of those, primarily it's the properties that have frontage along South Street, until of course we get to the former Mary Lane Hospital site, which extends all the way west to the Ware River. So that orange boundary formed the district that we arrived at in discussions with Ben's team and also with town staff. Oops. So in terms of existing conditions, these just a slide here to sort of give you a feel for, as you probably know very well, what the Ware Millyard Historic District area looks like. Some of the Millyard buildings, the commercial properties, the photo in the top right's of Otis Avenue, some of the properties around the American Athletic Shoe Company, and then the residential units on Canal Street there. And then I just wanted to highlight the Ware River in this area. As you can see, it's very, very channelized with buildings, steep banks, even completely vertical concrete walls. And it's very challenging for anyone who would like to interact with the river in that area or get access to it. The photo in the lower right-hand corner is one location where there's a very gentle grade in the sort of the back of the Millyard. There's also some reasonable access at the west end of Memorial Field and along the Mary Lane, former Mary Lane Hospital site. But it is very channelized in this area, as you can see from these photographs. And then as we move down South Street, this just gives those who might not be familiar a flavor of the context down there. So on the left you have the St. Mary's Church, the Rectory building, the former St. Mary's School, of course the remaining building at the former Mary Lane Hospital site, and then Cedar Brook Village, which is adjacent to that. So the first community engagement event that we held was on February 12th, and that was at the Senior Center. And as part of this project, we implemented to gather feedback from the public what's called an online crowdsource map. I'm going to get into a little bit more detail about that later. But what we did here is we tried to bring that online crowdsource map in person to people at the Senior Center. So we printed out a few copies of the map, and then we had some sticky dots that were numbered. So people could walk up to the map and place the dot where they wanted to provide a comment, and then we had sort of these grids or tables where then they could write the comment that they wanted to provide. We typically have some topic areas that we used with this, so we had like access to the river, new healthcare facility, mixed-use development, historic preservation, and a few other topic areas that people could categorize their comments underneath, but then the comments we wanted to be a little more specific, so people could write or submit whatever they wanted to. So that was the first event that we held. And then, as Stuart mentioned, on Saturday, April 18th, we did some site district tours, which went pretty well. And for me, they're always good to really show people, and I think the feedback that we got from those in attendance was also very strong, from the sense of you're really getting out there, boots on the ground, you're understanding, you're feeling what the people who are there on a day-to-day basis experience. I mean, many of you have probably driven through the area a number of times, but while you're driving, you're not really focusing, hopefully, on what's around you. So walking the actual site gives you time to slow down, smell the smells, feel the pavement, feel the scale of the building. So you can see on the right-hand photo there, that is what the crowdsource map online looked like. So we carried around a couple of tablets, and we were getting information from people on the fly. and they were providing comments, but that crowdsourced map was available pretty much for the duration of the whole project. I think it's actually still active, so you can go online, you can see the comments that people responded to, or excuse me, that people provided. So we did two tours. One was in the northern part of the district, that was about an hour and a half, and then we did one south of the Ware River in the southern part of the district. So this is what the crowdsource maps feedback page looks like, and this is, as I said, I believe it's still active. We had 70 responses for, I'll say, initial points, and then for each point, you can give what's like, I guess, called a like. So if you saw a comment on there, instead of providing the same comment, you could just give a thumbs up. And you can see the comments on the left-hand side of this page are actually ordered in the number of total votes that they received. So the largest vote getter with 26 was renovate the remaining Mary Lane Hospital building into medical center with space for a variety of services. And the number 2 vote getter with 17 votes was healthcare and open space. And both of those location-based comments were placed, of course, on the Mary Lane site. But as you can see, there was a variety of new comments that were posted throughout the district under a variety of topics as well. This just is another way to look at the data a little bit. We did have an other category, so I felt it was probably appropriate to sort of lay out what some of these quote-unquote other responses were. You can see some of them on the right-hand side. Helipad, child care facility, community center, site cleanup, new housing and recreational facilities, bike lane, rail trail crossing. So it was sort of a catch-all category. So beyond that, I think new business and then roadway and sidewalk infrastructure improvements were the top 2 designated categories where comments were provided on the crowdsourced map. So we took all this data in, looked at what our existing conditions analysis showed, and we came up with, we identified some opportunities for redevelopment within the Mill Health District. One, of course, would be the Ware Mill Yard, and I'll get into this a little bit more right now, just sort of identifying the different areas. The second one was the industrial properties along East Street, Knox Avenue, and Maple Street. Also the St. Mary's Rectory property, which includes the former school at the site, the Ware River itself, some of the auto repair and service properties that are located in the district, and obviously, again, is the former Mary Lane Hospital site itself. So if we take a little deeper dive into some of these particulars, just looking quickly at the Mill Yard, this was based off an adaptive plan that Ty and Bond did in 2020, and this just highlights some of the buildings, kind of what's going on there. You've got some fitness, there's a brewery in there, I believe there's also a marijuana cultivation facility, there's a moving company, and of course, I think as people have seen, each of these buildings is in a variety of states, and I'll get into a slide which sort of looks at those a little more closely later on, but this is just a high-level overview. And of course, Building 9, to note, that's a building that's owned by the town, so that definitely factors into things that are going to happen in the future in the district here. Moving along to look at some of the other sites, the ones along East Street, Knox Avenue, and Maple Street, highlighted in red on this map. These are just general boundaries to give you a sense of what we're looking at. The red area highlights about 12, almost 13 acres, one is almost 5, the other one's almost 8. And in these areas you'll find industrial and automotive uses, there's some junk vehicle storage on the site, and this leads to some environmental concerns due to its proximity to the Ware River. I think it was very clear when we did the Northern District site tour, you see a lot of vehicles in various states of repair. You can even see them on this aerial photo, how they're sort of stacked back, stored away. Some of them have vegetation growing all over them. Looks like they haven't maybe been moved in several years, so maybe some opportunities for enforcement here or reuse. Looking at the next area, this is the St. Mary's Rectory and former St. Mary's School property outlined in red. Again, an approximate boundary on this map. Roughly 4 acres, but also wanted to highlight, which was outside the boundary of the Mill Health District, is the, I guess I call it the mode area on the aerial image, which actually extends all the way south to the intersection of Union Street and Chestnut Street. So there seems to be a lot of open space in this area, which can be used for a variety of different things, as we'll float some ideas on some of the concepts maps you'll see. The former school is about a 15,000 square foot building. although the viability of that building seems to be in question, but even if it's kept or removed, a large footprint on the site here, and as I mentioned, significant open space on this particular site. Ware River access, talked about that a little bit briefly. So on the left-hand side is a photograph taken sort of at the east end of the mill yard, and then on the right-hand side is just a quick, rendering of what could potentially be in that area. You could get a little more potential river interaction with like a little overlook or some pathways, just a way to sort of provide a scenic overlook or a sort of pocket park in that particular area. But just a way to get people to the river and be able to enjoy it. Looking at the auto repair and service properties within the district, there's one on Maple Street, which is about an acre in size. This is an automotive use in a very residential area, and the automotive use in this SR zoning district is a non-conforming use. And you can see just from the aerial image there is some heavy car storage in this particular area. And then there's one along East Main Street as well. So the automotive use in this commercial area is by special permit in the downtown commercial zoning district. But this is also a pretty, it's a commercial area, and is this really the most appropriate use for the, in this particular area? It's something that should maybe be looked at and explored. Everybody needs to have auto repairs in their communities, but just potentially where they're located, should be some thought should be given to that. And then, of course, the Mary Lane Hospital site. This includes a few properties totaling about 22.5 acres. This aerial image is a bit dated, so we wanted to highlight the only remaining building on the sort of eastern half there. But you can see its vast expanse. However, there are some environmentally sensitive areas on the property. Setbacks from the river, but there's also some wetlands on the property. So what you see in terms of, I guess again, I'll call it the mode area, but then also where pavement is, that it all appears to be very usable in some way, shape, or form moving forward. So a lot of opportunity here for future redevelopment. So in terms of high-level district recommendations, before we dive into the 3 concept maps, the mill yard buildings, we're sort of saying retention, renovation, or significant intervention. Areas, within the district, there are areas for potential reuse, enforcement of regulations and or screening, enhancement of access to the Ware River, public parking near Memorial Field. I think there's some plans already in the works for that with some adjacent town property, but also maybe formalizing some informal agreements. Potential for bicycle accommodations on South Street, and I think that'll become a little more relevant on the next few concept slides. We've talked, or I mentioned the St. Mary's Rectory property, but looking at some potential community center usage, whether reuse of the building or new building, community gardens, potentially housing at that site. At the Mary Lane Hospital site, looking potentially at medical services, assisted living of some way, shape, or form, housing, and also trails. As Stuart mentioned, the healthcare services zoning district was recently implemented, which we think takes several steps in the right direction, but we think it could go just a little bit further by changing some of the special permit uses to make those as of right. And I can dive into that a little bit more detail later. And then sort of I guess I'll call it the overarching umbrella, or maybe it's the bowl that catches everything at the bottom, is the creation of a redevelopment authority in the town. So again, jumping back to the Ware Mill Yard, this sort of provides some ideas about what can happen to some of the particular buildings in the mill yard. The green ones are retained. These are buildings that we think are in pretty good shape. Not really much needs to be done with them. They've got some active uses already, so those are in pretty good shape. The yellow ones, these potentially can be renovated, but we do presume them to be vacant based upon walking through the mill yard and the information that we've gathered. And then, as you can see, the buildings in orange, which seem to be in poor or even unsafe condition, and this is where significant intervention need to occur here. These buildings have holes in the roof or potentially no roofs at all, and they are in a dilapidated state and need some attention for sure. Oh, and one thing I did want to highlight about the mill yard is that it's important to note that for the town, I should say, to really support redevelopment efforts in the mill yard for future development, but also the existing businesses that are located in this area. If there's going to be some change to come from that area. Just wanted to make that quick point there. So this is concept A, and I'm gonna cover probably all of this concept, and then I can just walk through the changes on the other two. I'll just highlight some of the items, but I'll start up in the northeast corner in the mill yard. That is now a little, not a little, but a sort of a blank pad right now. I guess there was an old mill building there that burned down within the last 30 years or so. But maybe there's some potential there for a new building with some parking, maybe a pocket park with some access to the Ware River there. You can see the pink hatched areas, which we talked about for those properties along Knox Street and Maple Street. Enforcement screening potentially in these particular areas to sort of deal with some of the uses that may not be fully compliant with what's happening there. The blue box on there, that's the town-owned building. We think there's some potential value to maybe keep the pad of that building. It could be used as a scenic overlook, potentially enhancing the experience within the mill yard. And then as we work around towards Memorial Field, you can see the potential new parking area, but also it's our understanding that the American Athletic Shoe Company parking lot is being used informally right now for public parking and off business hours, but if that's if there's no formal agreement there, it probably should be looked at. Then sliding to the south, again, the rectory property on this particular scenario or this concept, we're looking at maybe converting the rectory building to housing, a new or reused building for a potential community center, maybe some community gardens here to take advantage of that open space. The dashed lines on this map, the red and the blue ones, are potential pathways for the Mass Central Rail Trail that is going to pass through downtown Ware at some point in time. So those are just two potential pathways. Actually, they have a very good website, and they're looking at some different options about where the Mass Central Rail Trail might go through downtown Ware. Some of it stays on the west side of the Ware River, but there is an option that talks about creating a bridge, 3 different options of creating a bridge and how that would navigate that area. And then as we get down to the Mary Lane Hospital site, in this particular scenario, looking at some campus-style development of wraparound health services, potentially some single-family housing in the back, maybe moving to some more dense housing options, multifamily in the back with some trails, but definitely retaining that single-family housing along the edge, along Marjorie Street, and you'll see that in all the scenarios. And did want to highlight, they're a little bit hard, 2 things, a little bit hard to see. One of the blue stars, there could be some potential scenic points along the Ware River, but then also some thin orange lines that sort of identify some trails. One of those is at the end of Marjorie Street, potentially going all the way to the Ware River, and that could maybe link up with the Mass Central Rail Trail through that area. And then also a loop that would work around Memorial Field. This could potentially be used as an exercise loop for seniors in the community or anybody that, they have those sort of small workout stations, or for parents, if your kid is practicing or playing at Memorial Field. And then, let's see, as we move into the concept B, you can see some of the potential changes at the former Mary Lane Hospital site, looking at more exclusively single-family homes at the rear of the site, but then maybe some assisted living or rehabilitations, veteran housing at the front of the site, broken up, some potential office uses at the corner possibly, shifting up to the rectory site, looking at some more multifamily housing there, but also keeping the rectory building itself, incorporating it into some type of housing development there. A lot of the same scenic overlooks and enforcement of different properties or different uses in the area. And then as we move to the northeast part of the mill yard again, maybe a 3 to 5 story office building again with the passive pocket park to the south there where the Ware River makes a turn. And then sliding into the third concept, again, I'll start at the south again on this one at the Mary Lane Hospital site. This one incorporates the helipad. We did get some comments about that. Again, always retaining the single-family edge lots along Marjorie Street, but wraparound medical services potentially at the site, office uses. The rectory site a little less developed with housing, mostly primarily single-family homes, reuse of the rectory building there. I should have highlighted, we in all the scenarios talk about protected cycling accommodations along South Street, and then back up to the northeast part of the mill yard again, we're looking at less of a massing there with 2, 3 to 5 story buildings with mixed use, again, the passive park being located in that area. And I just have a few more slides. So next steps. As I mentioned, sort of like the overarching umbrella on all of this is the potential creation of or I should say a recommendation of a redevelopment authority and an implementation strategy. It seems that the town sort of has the foundation for this in your community development authority, the CDA, but a redevelopment authority would go a little bit beyond this and focus more on redevelopment efforts as opposed to CDBG and grant funding management. So some of the actions that could come out of that would be property acquisition and disposition, brownfield assessment and cleanup coordination, grant writing, public-private partnerships, marketing and redevelopment promotion, coordination among the mill owners. And this would be like a 1 to 3 year timeline, and then we also list some of the potential funding sources that could help advance that forward. Second recommendation is completing a detailed district-wide property, infrastructure, and market assessment for the district. And some of these actions would include evaluating the building conditions, the environmental constraints, what's the utility capacity of the area, the market demand for housing, healthcare, mixed use, and commercial uses, really drilling down. We sort of did a high-level look at it. And then also the redevelopment feasibility for the key sites in the area. And again, list of potential funding sources. And I think this will be laid out all a little bit better in the report when we have a little more space to let some of this text breathe and we can dive into it a little bit more. The fourth sort of recommendation, adopt zoning and regulatory changes. So as I mentioned earlier, again, we think the new healthcare services district zoning took some good steps, but it not necessarily went far enough. So if healthcare services are truly what the town's seeking to achieve here, we'd recommend changing some of those healthcare services from special permits to as-of-right uses. So for example, right now on the table, a hospital, for example, or a laboratory research facility, these are all special permit. So keep in mind, a special permit is a discretionary permit from the permitting authority, which has a pretty high threshold to clear. Moving those particular uses to as-of-right, the town would still have some control under site plan review, and it would be more attractive to any kind of a developer or business coming into the community. Having spent 12 years on the municipal side myself, a lot of times developers will see that special permit and they'll get gun shy. It means more review, it means more time, more money, more risk for them. And so that's why we're sort of recommending, if this is something that the town really wants to have in that area, probably an evaluation of changing some of those uses from special permit to as-of-right. There are very few as-of-right uses allowed in the healthcare services district. They're really just the government facilities, agricultural uses, farms, and everything else is a special permit or it's not permitted in that area. But this would allow mixed-use residential development where appropriate, sort of reducing some of the regulatory barriers, as I discussed, for assisted living, senior housing, or workforce housing, but also incorporating bicycle, pedestrian, and river access improvements, and even into development review standards. Then a fourth recommendation over the 1 to 3 year time frame would be preparing a detailed district redevelopment and implementation strategy. So some of the actions for this would be prioritizing short, medium, and long-term projects, identifying responsible parties, establish cost estimates, and identify catalytic redevelopment sites and infrastructure investments, and again listing some of the potential funding sources for those that could be pursued. And then my last slide here with the final 2 recommendations, launching an early action, public realm, river access, and connectivity projects. So these would be actual potential changes in the physical landscape out there. So implementing visible improvements that demonstrate progress, including the South Street bicycle accommodations, riverfront trail potentially, or just simply riverfront access, public parking improvements near Memorial Field, streetscape enhancements, and screening or beautification of highly visible or underutilized properties. And again, some grants and opportunities listed below that. And then the last one, advancing redevelopment partnerships and funding for catalyst sites. This would be a little more longer term, 4 to 10 years. And these actions would focus on advancing redevelopment concepts of the district's most strategic properties, including issuing requests for information, requests for proposals, and engaging healthcare providers, housing developers, and nonprofit organizations to, look at these sites. And those are partnerships that take time to build up. You sort of have to go out and start working with people to bring them into the area. And that's what I have. Thank you for listening. It was quite a bit of information for me to get through, but happy to answer any questions or talk through anything you might have.
Does the board have anything for Adam?
Adam, when you did your research, the town has several existing master plans that talked about economic development, and I don't remember them talking exactly of the mill yard, and certainly not the health care district, but more along the Main Street district. Was any of that work looked at as you developed this plan here, so there would be connectivity between this work and whatever work might be happening in the Main Street section?
Yes, definitely. So one of the first tasks we do with any community, whether we're doing a district plan or open space and recreation plan or a comprehensive plan, we pull in those various plans and work that's already been done. So nothing really hit exactly in this district area, but there were some peripheral plans. Obviously there was the mill yard work that Ty and Bonnet did, and I believe Weston Sampson was another firm that had also done some work there. So absolutely, we pull in those various reports and information and see what to build off of the work that's already been done there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members?
The only question I have is, when we receive this as Stuart, in terms of process, how do we follow up on this once it's delivered to the town as a consumer? What do we do with it? How are we gonna take advantage of this and actually utilize it?
Great question. The first thing I would say is to assign responsibility in parts to the people that would take care of it. There's a good part there that would be the community development department. There's parts that will be part of the healthcare discussion going forward as you look at the rural health transformation grant. And then in the recommendations, it talks about resources and funding sources and other sources to take advantage of, and that would fall on me and Jay, the grant writer, to look at those resources. In terms of, the experts are here, but in terms of the creation of a redevelopment authority, I think that needs some research, or it'll probably be in the report, with the explanation of how that benefits the town rather than the town doing it itself. So you would have to, probably through community development, again, establish a priority list and then assign a responsibility.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to suggest that at a future meeting, probably after the summer, once this has been received and Stuart's had a chance to work with his staff, is that Stuart come back and report on this and exactly how have they designated the responsibilities for what section. So we know that we're acting on this and trying to get the sense of what the timeline might be to start initiating, seeing what works for us. Not all of this might work, but there might be something that does. But my fear is we have a boatload of master plans and we haven't really acted on them. They're there and they read good, but where has been the struggle has been getting behind it and trying to pick off it, the things that we can and set a vision for what the bigger targets are. And I don't want to see that happen with this. I think these are two critical areas for us.
Yeah, I agree. So in September, we can have that review. All right.
Yep, good work.
Thank you, Adam. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
for
you,
your
Adam.
time.
And Ben, thank you for the funding.
Absolutely.
We'll probably be coming back to you.
Oh, that's usually how it works.
Yeah.
That's fine.
In fact, can you open up an office on Main Street and maybe it'll just make it easier for us? We could just,
No answer.
I'm sorry?
I don't have an answer. We do have a Western Mass office that I work out of, so I'm.
Oh, but a where office. People could say, where are you? And you could say, we're in where? And then they go, where? It's a great gig.
Thank you. All right, we have neighborhood outreach with the police chief, Board of Health Director, and Building Commissioner.
Good evening.
Okay.
Evening, Chief.
Stuart's been banished to his own little island.
Do you want to-
No, thanks. Just watching.
So Mr. Chair, if I might, I'd ask Stuart to bring in this panel, or through the chair I'd ask.
Yep.
Because after one of the most recent drug busts that you had done, Chief, up in, I think it was the Otis Avenue area, and right after that, the amount of comments in the social media and just people in general about where, and the expectation is, this is what you find in where, this is what you expect in where, and that's not what where is. That's not what we are, that's not what we expect, it's not what we strive for. In fact, I know we're doing many things to try and keep that from happening.
Correct.
But with the board support, we wanted to come in and talk about, are we doing enough? Are we doing the right things? Are we doing the things to make your jobs easier? Supporting you with what you need to go and continue with those improvements and improving the quality of life, not only for the residents of the town, but for the residents who live on those streets, because those people don't want to live in neighborhoods with neighbors like that who are bringing that activity into their street. That's their home, that's their family, that's their safety. They don't want to live with that either.
That's correct.
So the question is, are we doing enough? And if not, what else should we be doing? And what can we do to support you, the three of you, in your efforts better?
So, you guys take me to the end, so I'm probably outnumbered here. So yeah, over the years, when I took over 9 years ago, that was one of my big thing was the drug addiction and drug issues that the town had. We've made incredible strides in reducing that problem. We will have flare-ups like we had here. We did 3 houses all at once, just how it all worked out, you know. We were able to get search warrants for each one of those houses and the targets of each. And instead of doing one, the other one probably shut down for a little while, just extend the investigation period. So we did everything at once. So with that being said, things have simmered down. I've been in front of the boards in the past. So unfortunately, we'll never stop the drug use or the drug sales in any town, you know. We're looking to reduce it, which I think we've done a tremendous job. I started the DART program back when I first started. We partnered with BHN. We're with CDH now. You know, there's rehab centers on Main Street. The Hampden County Sheriff's Office has their methadone traveling clinic that comes to Ware. I believe it's every day or Monday through Friday, you know, so the avenues for the help and the treatment are there. The enforcement, the trust between the police department and the public is also there. Back in the day, Viden Street and Aspen Street used to be the problems. We cleaned that up. And it's also the residents have to take responsibility and be part of the solving the problem. Residents in that area back down then started pointing out, get out of here, there's no more drug dealing down here. They stood up. And now that area, still low income housing, but we don't have too much drug issues down there in that area, you know. I'd like to see that be done up in the Otis Ave. But once again, it's up to the residents to step up. We're gonna back them and we're gonna protect them when, you know, if there's any issues up there with that, so. But that's the, to look at the town of Ware as that, so you have to Ware, that's not true, you know. So I've worked with Anna and the electrical inspector. Probably about 2019, throughout the Commonwealth, we had a bunch of grow houses start developing. The Mass Chiefs were advised of all this. All of us were pretty much aware of it at the time. They practically pleaded with us just to hold off. They wanted to get the head of the snake. We let some years go by, and, you know, I don't want to say not much was being done, but I just said I got tired of it and said I want them out of town. Search warrants were done, evidence was collected. Unfortunately, they'd have, you know, low individuals living there just tending to these crops. The houses were destroyed. Worked with Anna, the Board of Health, and the electrical inspector. Those houses were, I may be using the wrong term, but were condemned until certain regulations were met. The electricity was shut off by National Grid immediately. So this organization was smart. They'd spent half their money cash for the house, the other half was a loan. So small towns like Ware, Palmer, wouldn't seize the house. You don't have a couple $100,000 to come up with to go through court seizing it. Now, if it was all paid off cash, that's a whole different story, you know, so. What, like the building department and health and the electrical inspector forced them to rehab the house, bring it up to code, and they would sell it right away, because they got an investment in that, they want their money back. So, as far as the departments working together, including the fire department, you know, we've done everything we possibly can that, when it comes up, that we work together and we make it happen.
And Anna, with the, on Otis Avenue, where the multiple drug busts took place, just following that, there was a fire in one of the brick blocks, and now that building is boarded up.
It is.
And
yeah.
knowing that housing stock has a lot to do with the quality of life for people, and knowing that the housing stock and what is being, the market rate is, will attract people at certain interests. So what are we doing with that recently boarded up block where the fire was to kind of minimize that as being a risk to the neighborhood and contributing to just the general perception that it's not a safe neighborhood?
Right. Well, it was boarded up very securely. We made sure that there was a very good company that was retained by the owner. That owner is very responsive to any of the correspondence that we've had with him as far as inspections and other matters. He was very interested in getting it. There was no pushback, I guess. He was very responsive and he did what he had to do. But he wanted to do it, so that made it simple. I don't know what his plans are going forward. I think it's too early. I think he's still working with insurance to see what would happen or how much they could contribute, and I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I know that there's enough damage in there that it's going to significantly require code updates to the building, so sprinklers and all that, if it were to be repaired. The structure is sound on the exterior, but because it's a masonry building, most of the damage on the inside and not above where the fire happened, that the fire went through the floors. So there is significant amount of damage to it. But we just have to, unfortunately, we're in a waiting period right now just to see what can be done. His next steps will be to, with his insurance company, find out how feasible and what will repair mean, or maybe he might decide to sell it, I'm not sure. So we'll have to see, yeah.
So unfortunately, that's the only way it
Afterwards, yeah.
seems to be. You have a
Yeah.
fire, they collect the insurance money, they dump the property, and you don't care about the town,
Well,
you know?
well, he would have to do some things to it before, selling it, but if he can't afford all the repair work that's required, then I don't know.
But
Yeah.
didn't we pass a,
We
was
did.
it a bylaw
Yes, yes.
that talked about after a fire and where the
Right.
town was in line to work with, was it to collect from the insurance company if needed?
Yes, so that's what but if it becomes too, after that, like if the price ends up being too high and it's not feasibly possible, then I think the only option will be to sell it or find someone who could, renovate it and finish it and bring it to code compliance, probably a receiver, I don't know, yeah. It's still too early
Yeah.
to know what's going to happen with it.
And I may also speak up too, what we've been seeing, and we've been helping a lot of the landlords or owners of buildings and property. When we do conduct these raids and search warrants for drugs, we advise them that, there is a statute of law on the books that, hey, they have the ability now to evict off of this, And a lot of them have been very receptive in going through with this, because we've been seeing, even in the Otis Ave and other areas of town, I've talked to some of the landlords, and they know they're problem tenants, and they want them out. And so unfortunately, it just takes a process sometimes, 6 months or so, going through the housing to evict.
John, does health get involved in that process at all?
Somewhat. Just for the record, I'm the code enforcement officer. I'm not the director,
Okay,
so that's above my pay grade.
okay.
We do get involved. most of our involvement comes when we receive complaints. You know, if we have a housing complaint, that's our shoe in or our foot in the door to go in there and do an inspection. Other than that, we really don't.
What about when a property gets, I'll use the term abandoned, it's vacant, maybe it had a fire, maybe it didn't have a fire, it's boarded up, it's derelict, and it's just sitting there. It's an eyesore, but it's obviously not being maintained.
Right.
At that point, who, from a town enforcement, code enforcement perspective, is the right office to go and take a look at it and start some kind of action to address it?
Right, I think that depends, there are a lot of variables. I can use 16 Walnut Street, are you folks familiar? It's a single-family home, it's been abandoned for
Yeah.
a long time. So that came to our attention when we're going through the receivership process with the Attorney General's office. The owners haven't done anything, they haven't complied with past orders to renovate the property or fix any of the issues there. So we're dealing with the Attorney General's office to appoint a receiver who can then come in, renovate the property, and then either sell it or put it out to bid through an auction process. So that's something that we can do through the Board of Health to take an older property that's been abandoned or vacant and potentially go through this receivership process. And that's what we did at Web Court, 11-13 Web Court.
I was gonna just give that as an
Right.
example too, worked well with all the,
Right.
everyone there, fire department, board, code, for everything there. When we got into that one, we're like,
Right.
made some phone calls, held that property, because as long as we keep an officer there as a search warrant, we can go in, take anyone in we want, until we leave.
The receivership is a great alternative, but again, it takes a long time. It's not always the best solution. But in certain situations, like Webcor and some of the other 21 and 23 Pleasant Street, the former funeral home, you know, that's absolutely fantastic. That was, I think, a success on our part. We appointed a great receiver, or the court appointed a great receiver. She's done a fantastic job, and then that will now be 2 really nice rental properties. I think probably late summer,
Yes, yeah.
something like that, several months,
Yeah,
but that's been almost completely renovated to date,
the
so.
interior work is being, sheetrock is being done on the inside right now, so.
Okay. Anything that we as a board can do to support you?
You know, over the years, the boards, regardless who've been up here, has been extremely supportive. We're trying to bring the police department up to where it should be. I mean, I think Josh might have been the only one on. Several years ago, I gave I think it was an FBI study from 2012, the town should have 2.2 officers per 1,000, so that puts us at 22. That doesn't include a detective or a school resource officers, so we should be roughly around a 25-person department. Town has given us a extra person, I believe it was in last year's budget, so we're making strides, you know, so, but once again, you know, Stuart, the board's always been supportive in getting us money if we need extra money for it.
Later tonight, we're looking at opioid settlement mini grants through the town. And I know we do have some recovery programs in town, and you mentioned the sheriff's methadone program comes into town almost daily. So how are we doing in connecting people in need to these programs, and what programs, in your business, what programs are out there that maybe we haven't been able to take advantage of because we lack the money? And is this an opportunity to look at some of these grant settlement funds that we receive, as have been used successfully in health and some of the other areas of town? Is there an opportunity there to leverage that to bring into some of the programs you might have read about in other parts of the state or perhaps across the country, but we've never been able to do? Is this an opportunity for us to think about that and say, what else can we bring into town to help manage this better for the residents?
Yeah, I think we're more than adequate. I think Stu would agree with that, with the DART program, the sheriff's office, BHN.
If you saw how much John Cassell.
Oh, yeah, John Cassell's phenomenal. He's,
Yeah.
he was the original DART officer, and he's been continuing to do that work, and it's phenomenal. We make arrangements, I even pay overtime sometimes, to have one of the officers brings someone to a rehab center in Greenfield or wherever it may be, you know. So people do take advantage of those services and such. The Narcan, constantly giving stuff out to other departments to help them out and that stuff, because we're able to get it through the DART program out of Northampton. But yeah, we got a lot on the table, a lot of access to tools and help, but once again, if the people don't want it, it's an unfortunate thing to see.
The comment about the neighbors have to play a role
Yes.
in helping you identify who is bringing something into the neighborhood that doesn't belong there.
Yep.
And I heard you say that you'll take that information, but you'll also stand with them.
Correct.
And work to keep them and the neighborhood safe.
Protect them.
And how they get in touch with you to make that.
Just call the station, call me directly. I have a voicemail if I'm not in the station. I'm pretty decent on returning phone calls.
Okay.
Anybody else from the board?
I guess I have a couple questions for Chief. With the last budget cuts the governor's done with the sheriff department, do you know how much Hampshire County's been impacted with the cuts? And has that affected your, the police department's effort to work on with the drug problem?
So as far as other neighboring towns, it seems like everybody's dealing with budget cuts. We got cut some. We're gonna see what we can do. But once again, the board and Stuart's always been supportive if we need extra money for drug invests or any type of overtime. One of the other biggest things that we deal with is sexual assaults. We spend a lot of time on that. My officers spend a lot of time conducting sexual assaults, so. But yeah, just please continue to be supportive and see any changes happening here with you guys.
And I know Sheriff Coachy and I'm pretty good friends with him in Hamden County, and he's I think the only sheriff that's set up a drug rehab in Hamden County Jail. And
Yep.
it really works a lot with you, with our town, even though it's in Hampshire County. He's a pretty good sheriff. I'm not sure if with his drug rehab program, it's, on the streets, if that got caught at all. I'm not quite sure if that hampered.
So I think the sheriff's drug program, I think it's court ordered.
Okay.
I don't know much about it, but I assume just because it's within his county, his sheriff's county facility there, it's something that's done by the court. You could be sentenced to 3 months, but they're gonna put you over here in the recovery center to help you out, which I think is a great thing,
It is.
Call it jail or call it rehab, but I think the courts and the legislators need to do something with these addicts where, hey, you got 1 or 2 chances, and after that, you're going to rehab. We're gonna keep you there for 3 months to 6 months to give you that step that needs to get you through recovery and get your life going. In there, you can have mental health counseling sessions, job skills classes. There's a slew of things that you could have happen while you're going through that. But
I know Sheriff Coachy's a really good sheriff, and it works a lot.
Sheriff Kaylin too for Hampshire County, he's great too.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you for the answers and coming in. All three of you guys. Appreciate it.
Happy to help answer any questions.
Anything further?
I just want to say, I know, John, since you've been there, we've seen a lot of drug busts in town, and I just want to thank you. You guys are doing a great job.
I will pass it along, thank you. I got a great department, and once again, I've always had the support of Stuart and all the boards that I've dealt with over the years. I appreciate it, thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time.
And John, Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Stuart, you left me off easy.
Glad to hear you're working as a team also, because that's a lot more effective way to attack the issue.
Absolutely.
Rather than
Yep.
each department trying to do it individually, but having that collaboration.
Absolutely.
Keep it up.
Will do, thank you.
Chief, are you staying for the others? Do you want to stay? It's not
All right, we have the presentation of 2 grants where opioid settlement fund task force seeking approval. Hi, how are you today?
Good, thanks, how are you?
Good, thank you.
So my name is Emma Berthium, and I'm the epidemiologist for the Quabog Hills Substance Use Alliance, which is a substance use prevention coalition based out of the town of Ware and serving the broader Quabog Hills region. And I'm here this evening with some of my colleagues who will come up in a moment to introduce our opioid settlement fund task force and present 2 mini grant proposals for your approval this evening. So the opioid settlement funds are monies received by the town of Ware as a result of settlements with opioid manufacturers and distributors for their role in the opioid crisis. The money is intended to address harms caused by opioids in the community, and the state has outlined specific categories that the funds can be used for. These categories are opioid use disorder treatment, supporting people in treatment or recovery, providing connections to care for people who have or are at risk of developing opioid use disorder, harm reduction, addressing the needs of people involved in the criminal justice system due to opioids, supporting pregnant or parenting individuals and their families, including babies with neonatal abstinence syndrome, and preventing misuse of opioids and implementing prevention education. So these are the state-defined categories for this money. The Quabog Hills Substance Use Alliance was approached by Stuart back last summer to create a task force committee of key stakeholders and public health experts to create a process around getting this funding out into the community to do the work it needs to do. So myself, our prevention director, who is up on the screen there, Emily, and one of our other coworkers, Rebecca, reached out to some of the key organizations in the town, the Recovery Center of Hope on Main Street, the Ware Library also on Main Street, and we also are fortunate enough to have participation from Officer Casella when he's available as Ware's DART officer. We, after discussion amongst ourselves and engaging with some of our neighboring communities, came up with mini grants as a really effective model to get some of this funding out to the communities. Other neighboring municipalities have started mini grant programs with their opioid settlement funds. And we thought it would be the right answer for Ware and wanted to present that to you. And the goal is really to support the wonderful work that's already being done to help continue to fund that. Just for some broader context about what other communities are doing, Belchertown has a very successful mini grant program that they've been running for, I believe, about almost 2 years and has dispersed funds to several local organizations in their community. And they were kind enough to share their mini grant application with us, which we then adapted to make most sense for Ware. But it is fairly similar. They did a wonderful job, and no need to reinvent the wheel. Palmer and Munson both have mini grant programs as well as some farther out communities like Springfield, Northampton, Amherst, and way far away, North Attleboro. We also engaged in some community surveys and a listening session at the Recovery Center to speak with some of the folks most impacted and see what the community saw as some of the key needs, and it echoed a lot of these key categories outlined by the state. Opioid use disorder treatment and supporting folks in treatment and recovery, and prevention came up as some of those really high key categories in general. So there is currently about $95,000 available, with more funding coming in, although in smaller amounts at this point. The town will continue to receive opioid settlement funding for about 10 to 15 more years, although it will be in decreasing amounts over time as some of those settlements end in agreements with some of these manufacturers and distributors. The length of their settlement funding differed. So the process we came up with is sort of the following. An organization or individual in partnership with an organization completes the mini grant application and budget template that you have in your packet. And then they submit that mini grant application to the task force. We review that, ask questions, and essentially review it to make sure it meets the requirements that the state has set out for what the funding is usable for, and also whether we believe it will be valuable to the community. We then bring it to you to be voted on for approval, and then the task force would work with town administrators to get the funds to the organization. The organization will also complete quarterly check-ins with the task force to ensure the program is going well and that the money is being used as described. We would also love to come back and report on how programs are going in the mini grant process, so you can really see the way that this is benefiting the community. So at this time, I'd love to bring our partners up for our first 2 mini grant applications. We have Julie and Gabe from the Recovery Center of Hope and Heidi from the library. And I'll stay up here in case there's questions at the end.
Awesome. Can I pull another chair up for you?
Sure.
That one's there. Good evening.
Welcome.
Heidi, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Whichever is fine.
Yours was first, do you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Julie Lutz. I'm the Program Director for the Recovery Center of Hope. For those of you who don't know, we are a state-funded, peer-led recovery center. We have 2 locations, one at 52 Main Street and one at 78 Main Street. Joining me is Gabe Arias. He's one of our community members, here to share his perspective as well. At the Recovery Center of Hope, we are proudly a multiple pathways center, meaning we honor that there are many ways to both seek and maintain recovery. I have to note this feels serendipitous after your conversation, so I'm happy to present this. Often people are, they get into treatment, they go back out into their community and they go back, we call it people, places, and things, go right back to the life that you left. So one of the things we do at the Recovery Center of Hope, and a role that we take very seriously, is supporting people and exploring pathways that are going to be meaningful and sustainable when they get back to their life. I myself am a woman in long-term recovery. Physical wellness remains an important part of my recovery journey. It helps me, regular movement rather, helps me improve mood, it reduces stress, builds confidence, helps me build routine, discipline, and it frequently is helping me reconnect with myself in a positive way. And while physical wellness isn't everybody's pathway, we do acknowledge, and I have seen many times in our center, that it becomes a meaningful part of many people's recovery. For this reason, we are requesting opioid settlement abatement funds, it's a mouthful, to establish a recovery-focused wellness initiative, proudly in partnership with Fitness Factory so we can support a local business. The program would provide Recovery Center of Hope participants with access to gym memberships while also removing the practical barriers by supplying essential workout items, shoes, shorts, towels if you need to take a shower afterward, headphones, anything like that. Because of the trusted relationship we have with our community members, we're uniquely positioned to identify individuals who are interested in this opportunity. We will encourage ongoing participation and support them as they develop healthy routines. Rather than assigning memberships to individuals, we decided that we would, as the center, retain 5 memberships. So this allows us to ensure that if someone's participation naturally comes to an end at the center, the membership can be reassigned to another member who is ready to benefit. This approach will maximize the impact of every dollar invested while creating ongoing opportunities for people that are in recovery and interested. So that's our proposal. Happy to answer any questions. I'm so sorry, Gabe.
No, I don't have.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I just had some resources here that I just looked up. Some just like the NIH.gov rewriting the addicted brain through a physiobiological model of physical exercise, and also NIH.gov role of physical activity on mental health and well-being. And those are just like overviews of multiple studies, and they highlight some of the factors that are beneficial to people in recovery, just increasing neuroplasticity and increasing VO2 max. You know, obviously if you have more resources for your body to use, you can recover better. And also Yeah, substance use disorders have a negative effect on like the prefrontal cortex of the brain. These studies show, due to overstimulation of some of the neurotransmitters and receptors, the prefrontal cortex has a large role in the executive decision making and impulse control. And so exercise is linked to improvements in executive function and increased gray matter volume and increased activity in the prefrontal cortex. So directly, affecting people in recovery that would need to like retrain neural pathways and that type of thing. So I just think this would be really beneficial to people in recovery. That's all I have.
If I may add one more thing, just as somebody living in recovery, in early recovery, I think, I can only speak for myself, but I also run the center, I see it very frequently. You just end up with so much time in your hands. So really at the center, we're trying to provide productive pathways that people can explore to sustain. It's one thing to go to treatment. It's another thing to sustain the recovery. So as many options as we can offer. We're having conversations with Workshop 13 to pursue some more artistic pathways. But I think we've been talking, there are many members in the center that seem really excited about pursuing they just want to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And the endorphins that you get from working out, it's just a pathway that makes sense. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really cool.
Yes, Heidi.
I'm Heidi Reed, and I'm the library director here in Ware. And we are asking for a combination grant, one part of which would be, the library currently has 20 Wi-Fi hotspots that we loan to our patrons. It allows them to access the internet through up to 10 devices for each hotspot. Those items are out constantly. When Em and I were speaking about the grant at our meeting at the beginning of the month, I checked on our existing hotspots, and in the beginning of June, most of the hotspots had been out 8 to 10 times. They go out for 2-week loans, so they come in, we charge them, they go back out again. And we don't have enough. So one of the things I'm asking for our grant is another 10 hotspots that would give us a total of 20. I think that might be enough to fill the demand so that we wouldn't have to make people wait, which is currently the situation. They're waiting a week or more before there's another one available. We got very lucky. I approached Mobile Beacon, who is our provider. We get some hotspots each year through an organization called TechSoup, which gives us a very good deal on both buying the hotspots and the service. Mobile Beacon, when I approached them to consider purchasing more, offered to donate us the 10 hotspots if this grant would pay for service, which we have to buy service upfront. It's $120 a year for each hotspot to have service. So that was just a bit of a bonus even, that we didn't have to approach for grant funds for both the hotspots and the service. The other part of our grant is we are asking for funds for a newer, larger television for the library. And I'm not sure, we did this very last minute, I'm not sure in your packet if you've got that half of our grant.
No,
No.
unfortunately, they didn't get that.
Okay, so probably what I'll do on that part is write another grant and come back at another time. So you're not approving something that we don't have backup for.
Right.
But the hotspots, as I said, the most popular thing in the library and a real service to the town, and so I hope you'll consider supporting that.
I'm sorry, just one question, pardon my ignorance, but what is a hotspot? I know it sounds really stupid, I should know, but.
Hotspot is a little box, it's probably that big and a 1/2 inch square, and you turn it on and it emits Wi-Fi signal that you can attach your phone to, or your television, or your tablet,
Oh, awesome.
or any such
That's
thing.
really awesome.
A lot of people do have them, you know.
I'm sorry, I'm so old fashioned, it's old my head.
But, you know, Ware is a town that has definitely people that aren't able to afford internet service on their own, and so it's a way to make it available to them on a loan basis.
No, is there still AT&T and Verizon in town? Maybe could they help with this, or?
I didn't approach them only because we have had a successful relationship with Mobile Beacon
Oh, cool.
for a number of years. And so they were my first thought to
Oh,
do
good
that,
job.
and then
Good job.
compounded by the fact that they offered to donate the hotspots.
Sorry about that.
Does the board have anything?
No? Oh, Stuart?
Stuart?
We didn't plan this when putting together the agenda, but it's kind of a beneficial circumstance that this discussion is coming after the one that you just held with that your previous discussion was mostly about enforcement, but it's important if the town is going to continue to be better, to recognize that there are resources and the services that are available in this town, which are significant, are really important as part of that discussion of going forward.
Thanks.
Excellent. Good job. All for you.
Alright, so do we?
Yeah, I guess we need a motion.
Yep, if you're looking for, you wanna do, we can either, we should do them both, or do you wanna do them individually?
Can we do them both at the same time, Nicole?
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I would move we approve a Town of Ware opioid settlement fund mini grant application from the library for $1,425.48, and from the Recovery Center of Hope for $2,625.
Alright, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Steven. Any questions or need further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great work.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for what you're doing.
We'll look forward to coming back and telling you how the programs are going.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Now, under the agenda, we have resignations and appointments. Appointments, 3-year terms unless noted. We have 250th US Celebration Committee, Mr. Frank Bateman.
Thank you.
You wanna do these just individually?
Oh, what's,
Frank and unless something's noted differently. Make a motion to approve them all, or unless one's different.
We're gonna table.
Here's one that sticks out.
why don't we do like a consent agenda, read down, and if somebody's got something to say, take the
Okay.
comment, and then we can move it aside.
Alright, so 250th US Celebration Committee, Mr. Frank Bateman. ADA Commission, Heidi Reed, Nancy Talbot. Agricultural Commission, Todd LaValle. Capital Planning Commission, Clayton Silda. Community Development Authority, Denise Blodgett and Kathleen Deschamps. Finance Committee, Mitchell Cooperman, Nancy Talbot, Kathy Cassio.
Put a hold on that one.
Yes, okay.
Please.
Yep. Alright, so we'll just remove that one for now. Historical Commission, Kathleen Galford and Lynn Caulfield Lack. Open Space, Todd LaValle. Police Department Special Officers, which we have a list of them. Would be Special Officers Dan Polak and Paul Skutnick, with Honorary Police Officers Stanley Medig, Dennis Healy, Gary Hoskins, John Pajak, Police Matron, Mary Ann Rain, Constables Christopher Talbot, Francis Cole. And then Zoning Board of Appeals, Maxwell LaBeer. Do we have a motion to approve all except for Finance Committee?
I make a motion to approve all except Finance Committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we have new business.
Can I
Do you wanna go back
step
to
forward and talk about,
FinCom?
What's that?
You wanna go back
can we
to
talk
FinCom?
about
Yeah.
Finance Committee?
Okay,
Because I have a request.
okay.
As you know, with the third time successful on the charter, the Finance Committee, once the state has signed off on the changes, will become the Advisory Committee. It will retain the same functions of the Finance Committee, but will also advise the town manager, the Select Board, and town meeting on non-financial articles as well. It'll have the same 5 members, the same sequence of appointments and the like. But it will have a little bit broader authority than it's had in the past. At the same time, we just got through a somewhat challenging, but, budget that got approved, and I think we managed within the resources that are available to us. I believe that the next budget for FY '28, absent some sudden infusion of money from the state, and absent a reduction in the income tax rate from 5% to 4%, is still going to be probably our most challenging budget in a long time. So we have 3 openings. One is a reappointment. What I would like to ask the board to do is to reappoint Mitch Kupperman to the board. He's served very well and has been a great asset to the board. That'll give us 3 members, therefore a quorum if we need to meet soon. I would like to hold on the other appointments, and I'd like to reach out and see if it very well could be that Kathy and Nancy are our best candidates. But I think with the new way of the Finance Committee becoming advisory, I would like to open it up a little more to the public. We've had problems in the past, I think, as most boards and commissions have, in getting volunteers, despite the huge stipend we receive. And I'd like to, use the newspaper and whatever to see if there are others in the community who are potentially interested. And then I think it would work well for me if a couple of select board members and myself would sort of form a nominating committee and review what applicants we have. If we don't have any new ones, we can move forward with the ones who've expressed an interest. And I'm always happy when people are willing to step forward and serve a committee like Finance. So that's my ask. Approve Mitch Kupperman tonight to give us a quorum, along with S.K. Robinson, who was reappointed earlier this year. And then hold on filling the other 2 until we can get something in the Ware River News and on the town website to sort of raise awareness of the openings on the new advisory committee.
So would you like to hold off for about 6 weeks?
Yeah,
That suffice?
I think so. Get us through the end of July. It's a quiet period on the budget anyway. So, and if something came up where they needed the Finance Committee, we have a quorum with 3 members.
Okay.
Nicole has something.
So if you hold on the appointment for 6 months and you don't have the finance committee, because you only had 2 members, correct?
We have 3.
No, wants to move on Mitch, wants to appoint Mitch
Oh,
tonight.
so I thought you were asking.
And we're
for
talking about
6 months.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Sorry.
Is that 2 different motions?
6 months would be a little long.
6 weeks, sorry.
No, I think it would be one motion.
Yep.
To move to appoint Mitch.
Yep.
And hold the 2 and re-advertise.
All right, we have a motion.
Motion to go ahead and move to appoint Mitch Kupperman to the Finance Advisory Committee.
And to
Hold off on Nancy Talbot and Kathy Bulow-Casio for 6 weeks.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stephen, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And if you need more time, you need more time.
Thank you. And so can I, since I own this table for a minute,
Sure.
I would also like to suggest that sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks that you guys and the Finance Committee sit down together here and sort of look back at the last budget cycle and, what we found, what needs improvement, what we can begin to resolve as we look ahead to the next budget cycle. I think it would be a good use of our mutual time to do that.
How about next meeting?
Yeah, what's the next meeting?
July 2nd?
Yeah, I think think July 2nd would work.
No,
No? July
sixth.
Nicole says no?
This is six.
July 6th.
6th.
July 6th would work better.
July 6th. Okay, I'm here on July 6th.
All right.
So let's do July 6th.
Any time in particular?
It's your meeting.
We work together. Is that all right?
You can put it on the agenda where you want to. And then then I have,
What's that?
Schedule appearances, 6:40.
Yeah. Okay, we can do that.
And the topic is,
the, sort of a,
After
look
budget,
back at the,
after budget review
after budget review, FY '27.
of the process.
Yeah. Can I make, did you get my, email?
Which one?
The only one I sent you.
Then probably.
I would also like to suggest that, that a member of the board, select board, be appointed as an ex officio member of the finance committee.
Yes, I did get that.
It's been a huge asset for the past year to have Ken, both in helping my transition to chairman, but also as a link between the select board and finance committee. And I think it's important for us to have that link as an information pathway back and forth. The more that we are collectively informed about the budget, how things are rolling, what the challenges are ahead of us, what we're seeing from the state, you know, even the outreach we want to have to our state senators, state reps, to push for better funding of general government aid, Chapter 70 school aid, whatever. I think it will make us collectively more successful. So if someone is, if you guys can determine who that is, but they'd be ex officio, but nevertheless, they'd be there as a full participant and able to report back to you. So if you just want to ask your consideration of that as something to move forward, because it's fairly common for a select board member to be on charter or
Is there
any other number of committees.
Is there a board member right now that's interested in being the ex officio to the finance committee?
I would do it.
Okay.
I would continue, yeah, I would still do it.
Well,
yeah.
I'd make a motion then to appoint Ken Willett as the ex officio to the finance committee. Yes?
I would second that.
What do you got, Stuart?
just a question, if there's a difference between ex officio member and liaison, or if it's the same, then I don't care.
I think it's the same. I think the key is non-voting, a non-voting member.
No,
Yeah.
well,
To
the
serve
word
as a,
member, the word member's misleading, right?
which word do you prefer?
Liaison?
If you understand that it means liaison, then it's fine.
But
Well, let's just use liaison.
Let's just
Yeah.
call it liaison. That's
That's all.
fine, because
Because I think that
it's a good point.
many towns, not just the finance committee, the boards divvy up
Correct.
many committees and
I
six
know.
liaison. It sucks up time, but it's, yeah, like you said, it's a great way to stay in touch.
Yep. All right.
liaison, yeah.
So I'll redo my motion and swap that out for ex officio to liaison. I only had a second by,
Redo my second.
yep. So we have a second there. Are we all in favor? Stephen?
Steve, aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Valerie?
Aye.
John? Josh, aye.
You guys are easy. I should have brought a fourth thing. Because everything's going through.
Sit down for a little bit, the meeting ain't over.
It is for me, buddy.
We got,
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
But thank you for
Thanks,
that.
Chief.
And,
You can always run for the
and
board.
you know, very soon, we will banish the term finance committee until at least the next charter review.
Once state approved.
I ain't on that one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, so we have under new business sewer abatement request for 12 Highland Street.
This seemed pretty straightforward.
Broken pipe, leaky toilet fixed and replaced on 3/2/2026. It was signed by the DPW. Is there any questions that we have? It does look very straightforward.
Yeah, it was timely. The amount is not seems appropriate.
All right, if there is no questions, we'll look, you can do a motion for the approval of the abatement.
I would move we approve a sewer abatement in the amount of $97.41 for Randy McDonald of 12 Highland Street.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, preliminary water survey results.
Yes. So I want to thank Stuart and Nicole for doing some behind-the-scenes work to tabulate those results and get them before us tonight. That was the survey that went out with the town census, was available online, and we had almost over 800 responses, I believe is what I remember. And now, these are preliminary, so is there still other data or other information? So this is,
Very small,
I'm sorry?
very small.
Yeah, but, so this is preliminary, but I think the high takeaway is, some people complimented the amount of information they had been receiving from the water department. They noted the work on Anderson Road in the Church Street tank, they noticed the flushing, they acknowledged some of the existing problems, but there was a fair majority of people who the water quality is a real issue for them. They cited issues of having to replace filters repeatedly, having damaged their laundry, their appliances, and having to purchase bottled water at a cost. So when all the results are in and we tabulate it, I think what we're gonna see is that a majority of the respondents to this survey reported a concern of the quality of the water, their perception on the quality of the water. We know that we passed the laboratory rankings, we know that it's not dangerous water, but we do know that there's times that it is brown, and this is what we're hearing. The challenge, not the challenge, but once we have the information, we should have a board meeting on where the agenda is to talk about possible next steps.
Right.
What next steps would be available, using this to guide us. Before, we were just talking anecdotally, and this was not a scientific survey, but nonetheless, I think it was a strong voter, strong citizen response that we can use to guide our actions.
All right.
So Ken,
Yes.
last year, I believe, when Amy came in here.
Yep.
To discuss, not a solution to the problem, but something, quick name, the term you use. It's so people in town could go somewhere in town where they could get fresh water,
Yeah,
but up to 5 gallons, I believe.
the reverse, was it the
reverse?
reverse?
It's just a filter, I mean,
Yeah, it's a filtration system, but it was like a kiosk.
Right.
yes.
And Ken Calder from Public Works came in and talked about it, because they had one in he found one in the town of Randolph, I think.
Right.
So that is a possible short-term solution.
Yes, in fact, if I may, Mr. Chair, the MVP group, which is the climate resiliency group working, is choosing a project going forward, and that is one component of the project that they would like to implement, and they have the grant funding to do it. So finding the right spot that's fair to the people most affected, or spots, I guess, could also be considered. That's being considered by that group as a funding project.
I'm sorry, is there any way that maybe we can expedite that? Because there's been a lot of residents that recently now have all their laundry ruined. It's not just the drink with and cook with, but people doing the laundry, having their laundry ruined. It's,
Yeah, that by definition, that project has to move quickly.
okay.
Do they need access to these results to help them in moving forward with that project? Would that be helpful for them?
It would be helpful. I think the state has approved the project, but yes, it would be helpful. Always helpful to have data.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, John.
They'll have to work with the water department on a location.
All right. No, Ken, thank you for, I know you did a lot of work on that, so.
It was a group effort. That's how we get things done.
All right. Now,
Oh, just one last thing if I might.
Yes.
When these results are all tabulated, they will be available to the public. Right now, they're preliminary, and they were in our packet, but when we have everything tabulated, we will share it with the public.
Yeah, the only thing that's not included, which I also don't think should be included on the website, is people's addresses. that are
Right.
submitted. Hey, they don't tell you anything because they don't say who said what, so we didn't include that.
Might be helpful in locating where to put a station though.
yeah, for our end.
So a lot of the data is put together and could be further analyzed by Emma, who was just here presenting, so
Okay,
she can do statistics on it.
great.
All right. Now we have select board roundtable discussion, annual report.
Yes, I asked for that, and following up on town meeting where a resident asked where the annual town report was, and Stuart's response was it wasn't ready for distribution yet. So, Stuart, where is the annual town report as of tonight?
So we've posted it, we have a proofreader that has gone over in past years, and I haven't attached my report, but otherwise it's done. So it's posted in draft form without my report.
All right.
And if I can ask, what's the delay in your report?
I have no good answer for that, other than time and putting together all the town managers' reports and putting into one singular report. That's all it will take.
Yeah, if I can, Mr. Chair, I think, just from my perspective, it's a real disappointment that we weren't able to get the annual town report out. I think the resident made a very valid point, and we worked hard as a board to raise visibility and information to the citizens to be able to make informed votes at town meeting. And the town report is one of those documents that you look at. You can see the activity, you can get a sense of what's happening, you can see the department head's report. So that was, and the charter requires it be done by April 1st, that it be out by April 1st. So I just think, Stuart, that was a real disappointment, and I think we let our citizenry down. And I don't think it puts us as a board, frankly, in the best light.
I don't think it reflects on the board. I understand you're the representative of the town, but I own the shortcoming. So it's bad for the town, but I understand your point.
Yeah, I think it reflects on us in that we're your supervisor. And one of our jobs is to work with you to be sure that you're accountable and that we give you guidance to achieve the things that are required by charter, but also help the town. And that reflects on us that we didn't see that.
Stuart, when will that be available? Okay. All right, so we get it up tomorrow. Can we get that on the town website?
Yeah, it's there, it's just
Yeah.
adding the page.
Okay.
And will it be printed and available as well, as we would normally do?
Very limited number.
Okay.
So the board.
The board will
the
get a
town
copy.
clerk, the committee chairs, and that's about it.
Okay. But it,
I would suggest, because we didn't have it available as we previously had, if people want a printed copy, they can request one from the manager's office and we'll mail it to them. There may be people who can't access it online, and
We also make it available to the library,
in one copy,
one or two.
I would still request that if somebody wants a printed copy, that we mail it to them. I think that's on us. Our responsibility was to get that out and to get the information in the hands of the people, and there was a delay. And I think we have to show good intent that we're trying to compensate for that. And it may cost us money. That's what happens when things don't go right sometimes, and you gotta make up for it. So that's my suggestion.
Very good.
how many of these do we normally print out for?
40 to 50 now.
Not even that, because the cost of pages,
So
to make the report, maybe 20, 30.
Yeah, 25 to 30 recent years.
Our
Okay.
budget went down.
All right, so if,
But the majority of them go to the department heads, and one has to go to the state, and clerk has to get one.
then we get one in the other chairs.
In the library.
Okay. So if somebody does want that, they can email you
Yep, or stop by.
or stop by.
And they can get an electronic copy, but if.
Correct.
If that doesn't work for them,
That's even more challenging for them, usually.
I'm sorry?
That's even more challenging for the public, if pulling it off a thumb drive or something, but.
Right, so if they have the ability to email Stuart, can we get them like the direct link
Right.
and just respond to them that way? I mean, if they're emailing it, right, we know that they have access to that. While I know what you're stating, and I fully see it, if they are able to convene to Stuart that they want such a thing, we send them a link or a PDF or something like that. Hyperlink that they can just click on and they can read it there.
We'll be prepared for either.
Okay.
In writing or digital.
Okay.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. So, but, anything else?
No.
No, okay. All good, all right. So now we have the town manager report. All right, Stuart, take it away.
Just want to highlight that although people have just received their fourth quarter bills a few weeks ago, in 2.5 weeks, the town will be issuing the preliminary bill for FY27. And that'll be on the last day of June. They'll be heading out. They'll be due on a Monday, August 3rd, after a weekend. The board has asked a few times for attendance by a railroad representative. Talked to them again last week, to the person who's the general manager now. As we discussed last meeting, the railroad's in the process of being sold. He expected that would not take a long time. And at that time, the new owners, and hopefully he would attend. And he did acknowledge that the new owners are aware of the bridge condition and that it is a priority project for them. Did have a meeting with the community development staff in Pioneer Valley, as well as the project engineer, Ty and Bond for Cottage Street. The plan for the first phase of the grant that has been received is to do the water along Cottage Street. Hopefully get it bid late summer, fall, and have the project as a fall project. If at any point paperwork slows it down, then it would be a spring project, but the goal is a fall project. As long as it can, the payment will still be available to seal the project at the end. As Mr. Desmond has often requested, they are aware that a neighborhood meeting is important for that project, and that will happen before construction, and will include discussion of the opportunities for residents to redo their service lines if needed or desired on their dime. We've interviewed a DPW director candidate and also given him a tour of the town and projects and staff. We have had applicants that we're going to do future additional interviews with in the coming week, and then likely to be able to present to the board candidate for hire for the DPW director. I'm hopeful. There are other interviews going on for equipment operator, wastewater operator. We had applicants today for the open mechanic position, as well as we have a customer service position open in the tax collector office. So, and the new assessor's assistant began last week. You discussed the discoloration of the water lately. That is primarily due to the refilling of the Anderson and Church Street tanks. To bring them up, it took longer because the department was trying to be cautious and go slower so as not to stir up the system as much. It still created a lot of discoloration getting to that. On Friday, DEP conducted an inspection of the tanks. I'm waiting to hear from Ty and Bond how that went, what their findings were. We discussed catch basin cleaning, particularly on Coffee Hill. John Stanton got price quotes for the highway department, and that catch basin cleaning should begin very soon. All of the DPW is doing really well working together, getting projects done, just the regular summer projects, but also yesterday, the leaky water line at the wastewater treatment plant, quite a construction project was completed. So it was great work getting quotes for that and then getting them to come out quickly to repair that line. We had an inspection also yesterday from the park grant coordinator from the state, looking at the Memorial Field bathroom project. She's quite happy with the progress. It's not quite done, but should be done by the end of next week, which is within the grant timeline, and we'll get reimbursed. Just want to give special thanks to Nicole, as well as others involved, moderator, town clerk, for the success of the town meeting. It went very well, and to all the residents who showed up. As you can see on the streets, as part of the summer work, DPW has been striping the crosswalks, including the crosswalk identified over the winter and spring near Cherry Street.
Stuart,
Yep.
just one thing to back up about the park where the town pool is there a way we can, hopefully when the pool house and the concession stand gets hopefully torn down this year, to a way to secure around the pool, because it seems like it's gonna take years to either demolish the pool, fill it in, or get a new pool in, with some kind of fence or something around the pool.
So I know you were at town meeting. The presentation by the DPW director was that we would get that done this year, the demolition. We do have to do some hazardous materials study just in case there's caulking on the doors and windows of the buildings. But I expect that done this year. Based on the vote, I don't expect the vote to come up in the near future on, I could be wrong, on rebuilding a pool.
But some way, not really rebuilding, but to secure around the pool, kind of like what Bay State did for the former Mary Lane site.
There is a fence around the pool.
Well, there is?
Yeah.
But they plan to take the pool down and
Okay.
the buildings
Okay,
and restore it to a grade site, correct?
I got it.
A flat
Because
site.
it hasn't been done in a while.
Yeah, so the
And that's
pool
gonna be
will be
done
gone
in-house.
along with the buildings.
Okay.
That's all done in-house.
Yeah, except for if there's asbestos.
Yeah,
work,
okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
That's a big question. Just wanted to draw attention to some important regional state meetings. The new Payment in lieu of taxes review committee, which is gonna oversee what the state pays in Ware's case for the Quabbin land, but through pilot agreements for state land throughout the state. They're holding listening sessions later this summer. I signed up, I know others did, to be on a list to be made aware when those dates will occur. Similarly, the resolution that was passed by town meeting related to the Quabbin pilot and representation, that will continue to move forward. The MWRA is actually gonna meet in Belchertown, I believe, on July 10th. So that working group is working to come up with a common message to be presented to the MWRA.
in the Rural Health Division. Did you report on that, the second paragraph on that page?
Yep.
Okay.
They've held outreach sessions, they've been well attended by representatives from Ware and the region. Mostly they're taking input from people as to how they would like to see the grants run, and reviewed and released to the public, released to the agencies. I do know the region and individual towns are getting well prepared to apply, and as well as Wayne Hospital through Bay State. When everyone knows the rules for what's required to apply and what can, it's gonna be a lot of applications, and it will require a fast turnaround. Like, applications will be requested soon, they'll probably be due in August and have to be released in October, which be incredibly fast for a statewide 162 million.
Stuart, on the state's new pilot review committee, the listening sessions, we can attend those?
Yes.
Okay.
If you, I don't know if you've been to a state hearing.
No.
It's pretty formal, like you need to sign up to let everyone present information, but you usually have to sign up ahead of time. So I can send you the link that you could sign up to start learning about it.
Okay.
And then when they schedule the meeting, you can sign up if you want to speak.
Okay, please do.
Stuart, would the DPW equipment operator and DPW mechanic, is anybody in-house applying for those positions? Or is this coming, these are all from outside the department currently?
Yes.
What is before an equipment operator for a title? Is it a skilled laborer? Is it?
So laborer, truck driver, CDL.
Yep.
And then equipment operator, CDL plus hoisting plus.
Okay. I was just curious to know if anybody was in those other positions that would be applying for the equipment operator position.
Not yet. We have one that could be qualified.
So hopefully that they get encouraged to do it. It's nice to keep people in-house and move them up and pay, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's all I have. On Tuesday, June 23rd at 2026 at 6 p.m., the town of Ware is going to be holding an open meeting law training for all elected, appointed board and committee members as part of the ongoing training and education. It is a requirement that we all understand the following and follow the law on behalf of the town. The town's attorney did this training for the town several years ago, and it was very helpful. This way you can see what is allowed and what is not. We'll be able to ask questions. It says, I am sure that you'll walk away with a better understanding of why the law has been implemented. There's many new members on boards and committees now serving, even though there are also seasoned members who have attended training previously. The town manager, Stuart Beckley, has made it mandatory that all board and committee members attend, and the select board are absolutely in full support of this. Please plan accordingly so that you can participate. There will be a PowerPoint as well as handouts for use and discussion. This handout should be utilized in the future as a guideline and a reference. That was written by town clerk Nancy Talbot. I just want to make sure that the public is aware that we are going into those type of trainings, and we are going to get better in making sure that we are following any laws and rules that we need to.
Now, on that issue, I'm going to be out of the country.
There are a few we've heard from.
Okay.
So we are gonna ask Stanley if he could record it.
Okay,
Make a
great.
recording of it.
Okay, thank you.
Other than that, it is 8:39. Yes?
In our packet was the select board operational guidelines. Were these reviewed by council?
Yes. Oh, they weren't?
It was separate, not in the select board packet.
Right.
It was separate, they were reviewed, and that's the comments on the side there.
Okay.
By council.
Yeah, so the one that was in our folder, but not part of the packet, has been reviewed by council, and the council's
Remarks.
comments are in the red line. Okay. Oh, can we mention the chicken barbecue?
Yes, go ahead.
The chicken barbecue is June 27th. Tickets are on sale. For the folks who remember when Ware used to do a lot of civic events and bring people together, all the events that are happening to celebrate our country's 250th anniversary here in Ware are those types of events. They're designed to bring people together, relive the history of the country, but also how great Ware is, and connect with your friends, neighbors. So the tickets are $20 each, and they're gonna be down at the St. Mary's School is where you'll be able to pick it up, or eat outside, and the ticket sales close on this Monday, and they're available from Nicole in the manager's office. In any place else, Nicole?
Any of the board committee members?
Any of the board or committee members for the 250th anniversary celebration. So, like to see y'all there. I'm gonna be there.
I'd like to add that our t-shirt sale is still going on. The first one will be closed on the 17th for those who want to pick it up on the 25th. And then we're gonna keep that open until the middle of July.
So if you wanna wear your Ware t-shirt to the barbecue on the 25th, get your order in by the 17th.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. It is now 8:41. We look for a motion for adjournment.
Move we adjourn?
Second.
Second.
Second. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.